Hello, welcome back to the next episode of Sculpting at Home. Now I've got my skull structure sketched in, I want to move on to sketching in the nose. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at my profile picture, stand back a bit and just draw on where I think the back of the nostril will be. And then I'm going to blob on a bit of fleshiness for the nostril and then check it from the front. So I'm looking at my skull, looking at the photo, and I just want to look at where that back of the nostril is so that I can just mark it onto my sculpture. I think it's going to be about there. So I'm just going to draw it on. Like that. And then just put on a bit of the fullness of his nostril there. And now I'm here, I feel like it needs a little bit there. There we go. So now I'm just going to turn it around and do the same thing on the other side. I think it's going to be somewhere around there. Then just blob on a bit there. The trouble is, you just keep seeing things that need to change a bit when you're looking at it. And now I'm going to turn it to the front and just have a look at the widths and just start modelling it from the front a little bit. So I'm looking at my front-on picture and I feel like his nostrils could be a weeny bit wider, just there. It's going to make the end of his nose a bit broader. Now, I feel like Mark's got a nice straight nose, so it's kind of wider at the top, then it comes in a bit, and then it flares out to that fullness on the end of his nose. Not everyone does have symmetrical noses. I've obviously sculpted a lot of famous people's noses. A lot of people do have broken noses. People like Al Pacino, he's got a nose that kind of goes off to one side. And then other people have kind of asymmetric noses where they might have a deviated septum or their nose just goes off slightly to one side. Even Henry Cavill, who you would think would be really symmetrical, actually isn't. He's got a bump on one side and then it's more straight on the other side. Just going to work on the bridge of the nose there a little bit. Some people have quite a wide bridge of the nose. For instance, J-Lo, she has quite a wide, flat bridge of the nose area. But I'd say Mark's bridge of the nose is fairly average. I'm just going to work like that. And then fill out that flared bit. There we go. A little bit more on there. And I'm going to look at that underneath shape, how it looks from the front. I like that. It's interesting because the top of the nose is... Oh, actually, this might be easier to show you on the skeleton. Where is Sylvester? Sylvester!
What's up, Babble?
There you are. Where have you been? So if you look on Sylvester here, his bridge of his nose actually stops here. And then if you feel on your own nose, the rest of your nose is just cartilage. And if you feel on the end of your nose, you can feel a ridge going down the middle because you have two bits of cartilage either side. And on some people, you can actually really see that crevice down the centre of their nose. You can't on Mark, but I just thought that was interesting. Now I know nose you like a good game, and I've actually got a really good game, and it's called Guess the Nose, but it's all clay noses that I've sculpted. So I thought you'd like to look at this little montage. I'll give you a couple of seconds to guess whose nose each nose is. Join me for a game of Noses I've Known. In at number 5, they've got a nose for a good song, but what are their noses like? Marvin Gaye, Shakira, Luke Bryan, Justin Timberlake and Cardi B. Nosing me, nosing you. Can you recognise these Swedish nozzles? That's right, it's ABBA. In at number 3, they like driving fast cars, but how streamlined are their noses? It's Evel Knievel, Ayrton Senna and Dale Earnhardt Sr., nose car driver. You might say these two chat show hosts are nosy when they're interviewing the guests on their sofas, but who can they be? It's Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey. And finally, in at number 1, what a maleficent nose this lady has. It's Angelina Jolie. I've looked at the nose now from the front and from the side, and then I find it helpful, even at these early stages, to have a look from above and below. So these are what I call my ups and downs photos. I have lots of these from different angles, all in the reference pack for you. So first of all, I'm going to have a look at this up photo, looking right up his nose, and have a look at that shape of his nostrils and things. Okay, so I'm just looking at that overall shape of his nose compared to the picture. I feel like it just needs a little bit more there. A little bit on there. And you've got your septum down the middle there. And then I just want to hollow out a bit of his nostrils. So let's see. Not being mega exact at this stage, obviously, because this is very early stages, but it just all helps to get things moving in the right direction, even from early on. I've just put it on this stand so that I can show you, but I know none of you will have one of these specialist stands at home. But you can just as easily work like this just by putting your sculpt up high and looking from underneath, or you can just kneel on the floor. The choice is yours, but it's really useful to look at your sculpture from above and below sometimes. So I'm happy with that now, and I'm going to have a look at it looking down now. So now I'm going to look at my down photo. And what I'm looking at is the shape of the nose from above. And this is really clear because it shows you how the end is kind of a bulbous shape and then the nostrils sit behind it. So looking at my sculpt, I can see that it needs to be a little bit more rounded on the end there. There we go. That's all right for now. As I say, it's just early days, but all this information that you're gathering is going into your brain and helping you understand the forms. So as you carry on refining it and refining it, you know that that's what his nose looks like from above and below because you've observed it already. So it's just useful information that you're collecting, even if at this stage it still looks quite blobby and not really accurate or anything. So I'm just going to put him back up to the front. And now finally, I'm just going to take a look at the sides of his nose here. This is an area that is very much neglected by people. Quite often you see people have sculpted a nose and then it's really concaved here. But actually, when you look at people, it kind of slopes back from the bridge of the nose. You actually have a bit of material needs to go on here. If we look on Mark's photo, you can really see those shapes of the sides of his nose there. It's quite clear in this front-on picture. So I'm just going to flesh out those two sides a little bit. There we go. It's usually wider at the bottom and then it goes into that concaved bit either side of the top of the nose, so you get that kind of a shape. There we go. Oh, a bit more there. Oh, my question hotline is ringing. Hello, Fernando. Amelia speaking. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, that is a big problem for people. Okay, thank you. Thanks for the question, Fernando. Well, Fernando has just informed me that I've had a question about mould. And when you work with water-based clay, it can be a problem. We've all been there. You've not worked on your sculpt for a while. It's been wrapped in plastic. And then you take the plastic off and oh my gosh, it's completely mouldy. Is it ruined? What am I going to do? Well, don't worry, because you can sort it out. Now, just to show you, this is what the whole head looked like, this side, but I've cleaned up this side to show you that it is possible to bring your sculpture back to life. Now, there are different kinds of mould, depending on what sort of clay you're using and things and what sort of rags you might have wrapped up your head with. But this particular clay that I use has this kind of rusty mould that comes up, and I'm not sure if it's something that's in the clay or if it's an actual mould or what it is, but my clay always goes discoloured when I've been working on something for a long time. Now, the temptation is to just go over the whole thing and scrape off all the mould, but if you do that, you're going to lose all that detail and surface that you've worked so hard to find. So the best thing to do is just do it a small area at a time, and then it's much more easy to find the forms that were already there before. So for instance, this patch here, I'll just show you what I would do. Just with a wooden tool, just scrape it off. And because it's not the whole area, it's very easy to then just get a bit of fresh clay and just get a bit on your tool and just fill it back in. And then you can be confident that that's exactly as the form was before and you haven't lost anything. Now, on a nice big area like the forehead, it's nice and easy. There you are. that's just back to how it was now, and then you can just get a sponge or a brush and just blend it in. So that's just a natural sponge. And obviously if you've got somewhere a little bit more detailed, it's a bit more fiddly, but it's still totally possible. So I'm going to show you on this bit here, in between the nostril and the nasolabial fold there. If you just get a small loop tool and just scratch it out. Just want to get rid of that actual clay. You don't want to put clay on top of it particularly too much, because then it will just come back to the surface. So just, if you can, just actually scratch it off back to fresh clay, or fresh-ish. And then again, just get some fresh clay and a wooden tool. And just fill it back in. And obviously if you're just doing it one bit at a time, you can always just check what it looks like on the other side to make sure that you're making it look the same as it was before. There we are. So there we are, it's back to normal again. And if you've got any questions, don't forget that if you pop them into the comments, then I will get Fernando to phone them through to me. So that's enough for now. It's just so that you've got some material there, so that when you start working in the round, you can actually gauge how far the head is turned. Because if it's really like a little thin pancake, it's very hard to gauge how much his head is turned in the photos. And there my nose is sketched out. And in the next episode, I'm going to move on to sketching out the mouth or muzzle area, and I'm going to explain what that means in the next episode. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to sculpt mark along with me, head on over to Sculpting Masterclass and buy the pack of pictures and measurements so that you can sculpt along every stage with me. And you can also find on there lots of other courses that you can purchase straight away. So that's the end of the nozzle, and now it's on to the muzzle. So that's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.